Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Corner. Welcome to Art Regner's video blog for FoxSportsDetroit.com. And today we're going to talk about Urban Meyer, whom I like to call Urbane Meyer. He kind of scolded the Big Ten coaches because he doesn't think that their recruiting efforts in football are up to snuff, or up to his snuff, which I guess are SEC standards. And obviously Ohio State, by most accounts, has the second best recruiting class in the country. And Michigan, I actually checked into the top 5, and then the rest of the Big Ten was down. Urban Meyer made his comments about the Big Ten needs to really up their recruiting efforts in football on a radio show in Ohio, and basically said that during the Big Ten coaches meetings, he's going to address that with his colleagues, which should be interesting, even though Brent Bielema is not here anymore. You know, he has been accused of taking committed recruits away from other Big Ten schools, which supposedly is an unwritten rule or a no-no, so that should be an interesting conversation. First and foremost, I mean, let's face it, you have to respect Urban Meyer. His track record speaks for itself, whether it was at Bowling Green or Utah. Certainly at Florida, he won some national championships, and what he was able to do with the Buckeye team last year that, remember, really had no pressure on them because they couldn't do anything. They couldn't go anywhere, but they were undefeated, and so you have to tip your cap. He has a proven track record. He's extremely arrogant, and that's why I call him Urbane Meyer. He's his own biggest fan. But then again, if you've done what he's done, maybe he should be his own biggest fan. The thing that I find interesting about this is that he recruited in the SEC, and granted, he turned around at Utah and Bowling Green, I understand, but a lot of Big Ten schools right now, specifically Iowa and Nebraska, have upped the budgets for the recruiting. And I think that what Urban Meyer already knows is that when you're in the SEC in the South, where it's fertile ground to recruit, a lot of great football players come out of the South, and an abundance of football talent, and that's why I think SEC schools, I think all the SEC schools were in the top 25 in the recruiting rankings, that it's probably easier. Nebraska and Iowa and some of the other schools in the Big Ten, Indiana, Purdue, they're not traditional football powers. Plus, I think states like Iowa, Nebraska, Indiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota are not hotbeds for college football talent. High school football there is not what it is down south. So even though he has Ohio State in a national recruiting base, and even though Big Ten institutions are now increasing their budgets for recruiting, I do think that SEC schools, because they're in the talent-rich South, are always going to have a leg up just because of proximity to some of the Big Ten institutions, except for Michigan and Ohio State, which have been national names and national powers. So I understand what Urban Meyer is saying, and it makes sense, and you know, if he wants to call them out, but I also think he has to understand the parameters of the Big Ten, the geography of the Big Ten, and where the Big Ten is. I think that obviously you can keep going after kids, but you're a kid in Florida, Iowa's knocking on your door, or Florida State, where are you going to end up going? I mean, I would assume that you probably would end up going to Florida State. Michigan or Ohio State knocks on your door, maybe it's a little bit more of a difficult decision. But the one thing that I guess really sticks in my craw about all of this is not that Urbane Meyer was his own arrogant self and maybe speaking the truth and patting himself on the back and being smug and being your typical Buckeye. But the fact is how many people fear Urban Meyer in the Big Ten and have surrendered to him like he is almost godlike. I find that absolutely hilarious and absolutely funny. I mean, respect him, but fear him? Think that he's going to make it an SEC program and that Ohio State is going to run away with the Big Ten year in and year out? Hey, look, if you're a Big Ten school, you only have to beat them once, right? A year if you're in the same division, or Michigan plays them the crossover divisions, and that's all going to change where Michigan and Ohio State should be in the same division eventually. My point being is this, is that, hey, Urban Meyer is a great coach. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but to just naturally assume that he is going to come in here and run roughshod over the rest of the Big Ten, shame on you, Big Ten, and fans and coaches. Don't cower in fear to Urbane Meyer. He's just a guy, and who knows how long he's going to last. You know, maybe he'll want to just leave. Maybe he'll just get tired of coaching after a while. Now, I know he's from Ohio and he's got his dream job and all that kind of stuff. All that changes. Maybe he has pro aspirations. If we've learned anything about Urban Meyer, it's that he's an egomaniac. He loves himself. So maybe the Buckeyes aren't enough for him. And if he does dominate the Big Ten like everybody thinks he's going to dominate, then maybe he'll want out. We'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, do not fear Urban Meyer, but respect him, I guess is my point. And the Big Ten, I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to recruit like they do in SEC schools. But if they don't, then, you know, I enjoy Big Ten football. You know, maybe the SEC is a great football conference because of proximity to a lot of high-caliber athletes. But anyway, Urban Meyer, you're a great coach. I know that. But I don't think the Big Ten should fear you. That'll do it for this edition of Art Regner's video blog. We'll talk again very, very soon. We'll do Red Wings and maybe a little bit on Michigan basketball. Tough loss to Wisconsin today. I still can't believe they didn't foul, but let's not get into that. That's for another blog. See ya. Bye-bye.